I love the Beatles, but I thought about the fact that like if they were dropped into now technically their career was like 10 years, so 2010, right? They're dropped in, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, and we're here in 2020 now. They have all their songs all the way up to Let It Be, Abbey Road, uh, and for some reason they weren't signed. They got looked over, but they're still together and they have all their songs. They're just recorded different because modern technology. And I was kind of thinking about the fact that did that mean that George Martin would have to have been dropped in too with him? Because let's just say yeah, he was. It's all of them. It's the songs the way they are because with George you got all that, all the string arrangements, a lot of all the production. That's kind of like the fifth Beatle. Uh, so I guess it goes without saying they're all here. The Beatles are here in 2020. They have all their songs, but they didn't get signed, and they're still going. They want to keep going and do it DIY style, right? Do you think that like if you scrolled through your social media, which is like just a barrage of just everything, right? All different kinds of entertainment, from comedians to dancers to singers to artists, and I mean literal artists like painters and sculptors, all different kinds of entertainment and music, art, spiritual stuff, wellness stuff, health stuff. It's just there's a lot of stuff that you get that gets thrown at you, sponsored content, and people following you. They want success in the DIY world. It's a world that hasn't been mapped out that well yet, and people are still just trying because nobody wants to give up. And we got these tools here. So the Beatles are there. They're gonna give it a go. They're gonna start. I mean, like just just right off the bat, like they have some of the greatest songs ever written. But part of the reason why I'm making the video blog is how, like, music perception is a really big thing. Now I'm not taking anything away from them. I still think they're some of the best writers ever. But when you run across their music, like say in a sponsored ad, and you have no idea who they are, and they're not like legends, they're nothing. Like they're just there in front of you for the first time, even though it's a hypothetical and can't happen. Would you be able to find the brilliance in a song like "Help" or a song like "Yesterday" or a song like I don't know, "Piggies"? A song like "Rocky Raccoon," a song like "Let It Be." All the songs they have. If you heard them, with just one of them, uh, while my guitar gently weeps. I think George's stuff is very brilliant, and sometimes his stuff tends to be some of the catchiest stuff on first listen. I've noticed, but in this age where everything's just so fast, even stuff that I like, sometimes I scroll by, like, oh, I like that. It doesn't make any sense. I guess we all need to, I guess focus more. I mean, we all know that. We all know that being on the phone and technology like that, like it can get tiring. But at the same time, you're on the phone at lunch, you're on the phone at dinner for the most part, and it's like you're scrolling. You don't even know what you're scrolling for anymore, right? Uh, would the Beatles music stand out? I think if you gave it a chance, I think it would, because like it or not, it's not just perception with the Beatles. The songs were very, very good. They're simple songs. I'm not saying they're simple to write or simple to produce. I'm just saying they're simple. They're simple to take in, which is the most important thing for a listener. Um, some songs, including songs from the Beatles, take more than one listen sometimes. Some of the songs are brilliant first time, but you know how it is. Records are now selling very well again, so the album concept is still doing pretty well, and so younger generations are able to buy records now from bands that are modern and understand that feeling. So that's kind of cool. Uh, but so they understand that not everything is just instantly some instant reward of music. Sometimes you gotta like fish it out a little bit. Some of the best songs, some of my favorite songs, I didn't like them the first time I heard them. uh, and the reason why that's important in this subject is because when you're DIY, you don't really get the luxury of getting like 20 respins. People will go by you, or they'll see you from you follow them or something. And they're like, well, who is this? They'll go into that first three or four posts, and even if they like you, they may not feel like responding, or it's just it's a different game, Uh, so when you think about some of the greatest songwriters of all time, given that chance, like what would happen? Would they stand out? Well, first of all, they're very marketable. Like they're all good-looking guys. They all have really cool personalities. Though that all comes with them, when they transport to 2010 to now. Uh, so they have that still. They got all the songs. I think at the end of the day, it's too much. It's just too much to not like. First of all, I don't think they would. I don't think they would get passed over by record labels like in the early 20s. I think when they got signed or when they started making waves in their original time, it's pretty much what may happen if they were here, because it's just, I mean, four guys that play very well together. Everything looks just right. I could be wrong, like because I mean, obviously it can't really happen, but like it would surprise me that it would happen, and they're famous in the exact same way. But like if they got skipped over, it's like, nah, we weren't looking for that. We want something a little more this or something a little to that, and then they still keep going forward and making all their songs. And then all of a sudden in 2020, they're like, well, we need to like really get good at social media and embrace the DIY and like start getting listeners that way. Let's do some tours. Let's do some smart marketing, branding, and let's do it. Well, they got a lot of tools to work with. Got four really good singers, four really good musicians, good looks. Even their instruments look good. Like Paul McCartney's Hofner, like the Rickenbackers. I mean, it all looks good, and they got that, going with for them as well. I don't see them not at the very least being able to really pull people in with the different kinds of songs they wrote. It's just too much. That's my opinion. And I mean that in a good way. It's too much to not take in. Now, if you're one person writing some pretty good songs, I guess it's like this. People are making great careers for themselves at the DIY level. So if they are, or if I can, and I'm not saying I have yet, but I'm just saying if I could, yeah, I'm working towards that. Then of course, why wouldn't the Beatles? I guess that's the simple way of looking at it. Like if they couldn't, then who could? Which kind of leads me into the subject of like one of the things about social media, and I've talked about this in prior video blogs, is everything's so fast, and I've even talked about it already in this one. It's so fast, you're scrolling, you only give a couple seconds to something. I don't know that's enough to really take in something, so I think that the genres and the styles that really benefit right now in the DIY is like stuff that's very out, that's very quick, like something that's very funny, something that's very niched very well. And so these aren't bad things. I mean, it's there's a lot of great artists that are doing this right now. I also want to give a shout out to the fact that it's kind of really cool that virtuosos at violin, guitar, drums, any instrument have that at their fingertips now, because for many years before like social media and the internet, like I think virtuosos were very unappreciated. I mean, there was no appreciation for that sort of thing, you'd be watching TV one day and you'd see some like classical pianist and they're selling like some CD and they show you like all the that's pretty much the way it was like from what I remember growing up. So now it's really cool that you can follow people and they put videos daily and you're like, whoa, you're really good, because now we need stuff like that. We need to be quick. We also need stories. I'm not a big fan of singing shows. I'm just not like the American Idol, and that's that sort of stuff. I mean, if you get me to watch it, I'm sure I'll get pulled in. But I just kind of stay away. I don't really care for it too much. But regardless, there's always stories attached to the contestants, and that seems to be a thing, and so there always needs to be something more than just the music, and that's kind of the point of this video blog. The Beatles were the masters of songwriting, so if they couldn't do something, then nobody really could, because their songs are absolutely amazing. The movie Yesterday came out last year, and obviously, if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time, it's been out for a while, so just be warned. I think it's kind of like how it would go, except for the fact that it's just one person, and I'm talking about the actual Beatles. So I imagine they have the edge. So if it happens to him, not that that's real life, but he was able to play the songs. Nobody cared at first, which is I think a very good indication on how it would go, because nobody would care right at first. It doesn't matter if you're playing Yesterday or Long and Winding Road or I Want to Hold Your Hand. It doesn't matter. Like right off the bat, like if you play those songs in a club, even if you play them really good, which he did, I don't think you'd get people's attention that fast. I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Like a few people, which is kind of hard for a few people to start to call that a career. Uh, so yeah, for the most part, I think you'd just be like any other artist at first. It would take a little bit and people talking, saying, "Hey, wait, you know what? That guy was good," or "Those songs were good." And in the movie, it doesn't really start happening for him until Ed Sheeran discovers him and then gives him that platform. Right? Once you get that platform, then you can people can start saying, "Oh, these songs are good." There's just something with us humans that like we kind of want something legitimized, and like we want it to feel like legit. We want it to feel like other people have branded it so. I don't know why, but that's that is true. I think so. At that point, when you have someone like Ed Sheeran saying, "Well, this guy is really good," I think it becomes a little easier, and that starts to be something that you'll even hear people say the same words, exactly the same way, how so and so said it. So that in that sort of way, yes, that then all of a sudden you'll start seeing that success start happening. But when no one's saying that, and you're just kind of scrolling through it, that's tough. I mean, you start realizing that it's not just about music. It is, but it's not. There's more. There's more to it. It is and more. Because at the top of music, and I'll end with this, at the top of music, the music industry, you still find simple songs. You still find like Billie Eilish is a big artist right now. Post Malone is a big artist right now. They both have simple. I'm not saying they're simple to write, simple to produce, but they're, like I said earlier, easy to take in. Bad Guy is a very catchy song. It can be played like a country song. It can be played in metal. It can be played by a punk artist. It can be covered by any genre. And so can some of the new songs Post Malone's had recently too. So it's a sign of that sort of kind of song. The songs that the Beatles were absolutely fantastic at, like Johnny Cash as well. Those kind of simple songs, that you could sing without music, and you could sing the melody and just it sounds great, just like that. Now I've taken a music appreciation class in college, so I remember it enough to know that things do change. I mean, you start at this kind of music in some part of the world, and then it morphs to this, to this, to this, to this, to this, and hopefully people can keep alive all these older genres, older styles of music, which seems to be happening, which is good. But that doesn't mean that the simple pop rock song is always going to be at the forefront of music. It still is in the big industry, no matter what it's dressed in, like in terms of like genre. There's always new trends, but there's still those trends are just dressing up a simple, really good song with good lyrics and catchy. Simple. It's what the Beatles were great at. Uh, I personally think to end this off, like, yeah, they got too much. They got too much to not succeed, even at the DIY level. But I'm glad they could. I'm glad I think they would, because if they couldn't, like, there's just no chance for anybody, right? Unless you're doing things that are, like I said earlier, maybe extremely niched or extremely like shock value, that where people can just be like can get it really fast. And not all musicians want to just, and that's not a critique by any means. I follow some artists that are really good, that are making names for themselves, which is really cool. But some artists are influenced by different people. I'm influenced by the Beatles, U2, Tori Amos, Green Day, Guns N' Roses, some theater music, and so if you want to know what I sound like a guy that is influenced by all those artists. Those have been my teachers, And I try to write simple music. I don't want to do anything but what I do. I just want to get better at what I do, to where people can embrace it, in this sort of new era of just quick social media browsing through everything. So it's, in the end, I guess, just about getting yourself as sharp as you can get yourself, to where it works fast. even if it's not something shocking or something that benefits from the quick from the quickness of DIY social media sort of thing. So I plan to do that, and like at the end of the day, the Beatles were too good. I think they'd be big no matter what. So, anyways, tell me what you think. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to mention. I think that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm gonna start video blogging more. It's usually DIY, that sort of thing. That sort of thing. If I find a new kind of like angle or concept or just like an idea, like today's, there's not a lot of mapping in the DIY world. So it's kind of like if the video can go out there and just give some sort of idea, or maybe you maybe it's a dumb video blog, this one, but at least it like allows you to think of something else. It's like brainstorming, really. So, anyways, uh, until next time, rock on. Actually, I should say peace and love, right? Since it's about the Beatles. Until next time, peace and love.